Hi, I'm Mark Mckenzie and I will be playing Brian in Stubble. Brian is the character that if I had to put him into a category, he'd be the responsible one that all the other lads in the house come to in times of crisis. In this particular scene, Jay's coming to Brian with his problem, and Brian also has a problem of his own that he would like to talk about with Jay, but Jay dismisses that, which upsets Brian quite a lot.
And I'm Jake Urry, and I'll be playing Jay. And yeah, the relationship between Jay and Brian is really significant. Jay's he's a bit self-centered, but he's got this overwhelming sort of issue that he's struggling to cope with, and Brian's the only person that he can confide in because he can't tell the other guys. So their relationship is it's one of trust, and he does sort of take Brian for granted sometimes, and they can be a bit sarcastic with each other, but at the end of the day they care about each other. They're sort of the best friends in the whole setup, really. And in the scene, Jay's big issue is the fact that he thinks he's actually going to die, and it's quite he's planning his own funeral, and it's a bit it's funny the way he does it. So yeah, it's quite a scenario, really, and that's Brian and Jay, isn't it?
Debbie's on her way over with Nate.
She's letting you see him now. That's a step in the right direction.
Well done. It's actually an inconvenience. I mean, I'm happy that she's forgiven me for,
Defiling her, popping a cherry, taking away any chances she has of actually having a life of her own.
So what's your favourite thing about acting, Jake?
Well, it's probably I just enjoy getting into different characters' mindsets, and when you work with a script for so long that the character becomes second nature to you, and you actually sort of take on that person's whole sort of physicality and mentality, which isn't the same as method acting or whatever. But I just like being able to switch from being myself to a completely different person, as in a character. Yeah. What about you?
My favourite thing about acting, I'd say, is being in different scenarios, something different each time, and yeah, like you said, portraying different characters, different types of characters in these different scenarios.
So what would you say is the worst aspect of acting for you?
The worst thing for me is probably learning lines. When I've got a lot of lines to learn, it's hard to let them sink in. You have to have a fresh head. You can't just get home from work and just, I'll learn these lines. Do you know what I mean? You have to fully get involved in the script whilst learning lines, and I kind of like to get up and do it.
What is your whole process? What does it involve for learning the actual character and just getting into character?
Well, I'll get a scene, read through the scene, get to know the scene, just keep reading through it over and over, get to know, my character through just reading it. After that, I record the other person's lines and just break it up into sections, and then try and fill in my lines, concentrate on one section for quite a while till I know them. They roll off the tongue, I don't have to think about them anymore. And then, again, section.
For me, I can't believe you haven't even Googled the plot. I'm kidding! Look! I've highlighted my lines and everything. Oh, well done. Anyway, I think I'm going to get some shut-eye before Chico gets in.
Don't you want to go through our scenes?
We're in one scene together.
Still, we might as well give it a go. So, at the heart of Stubble, there's a group of male friends battling the issues that men face throughout their lives. How do you relate to any of the characters in this kind of scenario?
It's funny you should say, actually, because I probably relate more to Brian, your character.
Yeah.
Just in that he's sort of juggling a lot of different things, and he's got a lot of things on his mind, but he's still got to find time for his personal life and his friends, and to help his friends out. but he's got to juggle all these different scenarios, and it's a different scenario. Obviously, I haven't got anyone pregnant, but it's it's a similar. I sort of find myself running from one thing to another, having to do lots of things because I run a theatre company. I do other bits of acting work on the side, and juggling a home life as well. So it's I see myself more in Brian's mindset. Just wants basically a bit of peace and quiet. Mark, we're both going to be appearing in PenToPaper's The Dumbwaiter and Other Short Stories. We'll be doing the other short stories. So tell us a bit about what they are and what role you'll be playing in them.
Well, there's Stubble, which we've already done on radio and television, so kind of the full package, doing it on stage as well. We will be doing Waiting for Nico,
Yes.
which
I wrote.
you have written.
I have, yes. It's a short extract from what I intend to be like a longer piece, but we'll just be doing 10-15 minutes of it, which is about two actors who arrive in Edinburgh, and one of the actors has basically got digs for them both, but with a suspicious man.
Yeah, they've never met, have they?
Yeah, they've not met, and it turns out at the end that...
Are you going to give it away?
Oh, should I?
Oh.
No, well, there's a bit of a thing at the end where the guy that they're staying with turns out to be this Nico guy that they're waiting for. He turns out to be, not altogether.
Not what they expected.
And then we're also going to be doing some monologues, aren't we?
We are.
So.
Well, I'll be doing a few short monologues from Tiger in the Cage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically about a sex offender who is, in each of his scenes, he's seen his psychiatrist and, telling the psychiatrist about, when he's slipped up, he's basically trying to save himself from being chemically castrated. What are your monologues? Mine
are three very different monologues. I'm going to be doing one by Rowan Atkinson, where he's like, "Welcome to hell," and he plays the devil, and it's all very funny, and that'll start the evening off. It's just like a sort of a light-hearted way to start off. And then I'll be doing one that I've written again about a guy called Alan Turing, who was a mathematician in the Second World War. I won't go into it too much because I've not completely written it. I don't want to give too much away. But and I'll be doing another one from the Golden Girls.
Oh right, interesting.
Yeah, which is it's sort of a light-hearted beginning, but it turns out to be quite quite sad at the end. And we're both doing a sketch by Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie.
Yes, we are.
Where it's two guys who both. It's a funny setup. It's like a psychiatrist room, and they both have this mental illness where they think they're a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Ah, breasts. Already we focused in on the breasts. What are your feelings about breasts, I wonder? Do they frighten you? This is not unheard of.
Breasts and fear. Interesting. And where do you suppose your father fits into all this?
Aha!
Well, Jake, it's been nice having this interview, if not slightly odd in front of these two cameras.
Yeah, it has. It's been a pleasure, Mark. But we'll leave you now. But don't forget, The Dumbwaiter and Other Short Stories will be on at the Met in Bury, January the 23rd and 24th. And if you're wondering what that number is there, it's a code which will give you 20% off tickets if you book before January the 1st. So, now we better get back to rehearsing.
Yeah.
Don't we? Yeah.